Remember back in the 2000s when A Christmas Story all of a sudden just bloomed into this, went from being this underground cult favorite to a perennial Christmas classic overall, and everyone just had to do everything in their power to try to ruin it, whether it was through terrible commercials like the Singular commercial, or through A Christmas Story 2, or The Christmas Story Live. And, it took them a long time to, it basically there's nobody really had an idea of how to do a Christmas story for a new generation, but by also not insulting it at the same time. And then in 2021, somebody did just that, and it turned out to be a pretty damn good movie in the process. And that film, of course, is 8-Bit Christmas. Now, this is like if you combined A Christmas Story meets Jingle All the Way meets a little bit of How I Met Your Mother, and I'm not just saying that because Neil Patrick Harris is in this, but also a 1980s comedy that doesn't care if it goes insane or over the top as long as you're enjoying it. That's this movie. Plus, it's directed by the same guy that did Goons, so, as you can pretty much tell, I love the hell out of this movie. So this is set in the late 1980s, and a young boy named Jake Doyle, played by Winslow Fegley, plans to get a Nintendo Entertainment System before anyone else. And, of course, this is the story about him getting it for Christmas, and, like I said, it's the same thing as A Christmas Story, except replace the BB gun with a Nintendo Entertainment System, and instead of it taking place in the 1940s, this takes place in the 1980s. And this really is the best modern-day Christmas movie I've seen since Arthur Christmas. And not only that, it's one of those Christmas movies that I make it a point to watch every single year. I just love the hell out of this movie. It's that good. You could tell that the people who made this movie took a lot of inspiration with wanting to pay homage to A Christmas Story. And the film is very much like A Christmas Story. In fact, one would go as far as to say this is honestly the best Christmas Story sequel ever. Even though this isn't technically a sequel, but it certainly beats the crap out of Christmas Story 2 or Christmas Story Live, that's for damn sure. What about Christmas Story Christmas? Well, we'll answer that at the end of the month. But no, it really does feel like the 80s equivalent to A Christmas Story, but in a good way. It feels like something right out of the 1980s, and even a little bit of 80s PG as well. Not like this new PG we have today, today where, a Toy Story movie can get a PG rating, or a My Little Pony movie, or a Paw Patrol movie can get a PG rating. No, in this movie, they literally killed dogs in this movie. Sort of. It's in the trailer for this, but the way it plays out in the actual movie is pretty hilarious, and, the way they explain it is also really funny, too. But you get the idea. It's not afraid to go into dark territory at times, and in a good way. I love that about this movie. But you also really do like these actors a lot. Winslow Fegley, like I said, who a year before he was in a Disney Plus movie version of Timmy Failure, Mistakes Were Made, which was actually really good. He's good playing Jake in this, and like Ralphie in A Christmas Story, you do sympathize with his plight for Nintendo, and every time you think he's finally going to get his way, the universe basically just says, oh no, you're not. Like, the universe literally just says, fuck you, many times that he tries to do this. You feel bad for this kid, because he's working his butt off of these plans he has to get it. And the world is just like, yeah, no. It does play into the moral, which I'll get into later, which is very well done. I'll get to that in just a second, but the rest of the cast is pretty good. Like I said, Neil Patrick Harris is great playing the adult Jake Doyle. You have Sophia Reed Gansert's playing his daughter, Steve Zahn and June Diane Raphael as his parents. The cast overall is just great. Once again, the comedy is very good, and again, you get that sense of that 80s PG-style humor that isn't playing it safe. There are some pretty funny, occasionally darker elements of comedy throughout this movie that I really love the hell out of. And yet, it still allows for some pretty good heartfelt emotional moments, too. I really like the payoff of this film and the moral and the message of it as well. It takes a different approach to how the main character achieves his goal at the end. He does get his Nintendo in the end, but not in the way you would think. And the way it's done here is done very well, and it doesn't feel forced. It's the type of climax that earns those emotional moments in a very distinctive way that does make it stand out on its own. I like the fact that Michael Dowse put his stamp on old-school Christmas movies, just like he put his own stamp on old-school hockey movies like Slapshot with the movie Goon. And also sort of like how Bob Clark did the same thing with the original Christmas Story, and also having these different unique genre filmmakers with Black Christmas and Porky's from the horror and raunchy comedy genre. 8-Bit Christmas really does have the makings of a Christmas cult classic in the making. It really is one of the best Christmas movies of recent memories. Well acted, great cast, great writing, great mix of comedy and drama. It's a great movie, man, and one I can't recommend enough. It hasn't gotten the boost that I wanted to see get just yet. You do see it on TV every year on TBS and TNT, but if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out this holiday season, because it is definitely a film that is definitely warranted of becoming a Christmas classic overall. It's easily the best Christmas movie of the decade so far, hands down. Seek out 8-Bit Christmas if you haven't seen it already. It's great stuff.